Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. In this video, Thorben and I explore the legendary Silver Temple before wandering along Chiang Mai's historic canals, catching glimpses of everyday life unfolding along the water. Later that evening, our group returns to the temple grounds, where dancers and fire breathers light up the night with their performances. The temple itself was closed for religious ceremonies, but the energy around it was very much alive. In the late morning, Thorben and I decided to take a tour of the famous Silver Temple, a temple unlike any other, a sanctuary that seems to shimmer into existence as you approach. This is Wat Sri Suphan, a masterpiece of Lana craftsmanship, where every surface glows with hand-hammered silver, aluminum, and intricate carvings that tell centuries of stories. As the morning light catches the metalwork, the entire ordination hall glints like a jewel, revealing scenes of mythology, local history, and the artisans who shaped this sacred place. It's a temple that feels alive, reflecting not just sunlight, but the spirit of the community that continues to preserve it. Long before its silver skin shimmered under Chiang Mai's lantern-lit nights, Wat Sri Suphan began as a modest Lana monastery, built not of metal, but of simple brick, teak, and stucco. Its origins reach back to the early 16th century, during the reign of King Muay Thai, ruler of the Mongrai dynasty, who commissioned the temple around 1500 to 1502 CE. At that time, this southern quarter of Chiang Mai was not yet known for its silverwork. It was a quiet residential district where artisans, monks, and traders lived side by side. The original ordination hall was constructed in 1501 to 1509. It followed classic Lana architectural principles with a steep multi-tiered roof, carved wooden gables, and protective sema stones marking the sacred boundary. Though the structure itself has not survived intact, the foundation and the 8 sema stones from the 16th century still remain, silently anchoring the temple to its earliest era. The decision to sheath the modern ordination hall in silver came much later, as part of a cultural preservation project to honor the district's heritage. But beneath the gleaming panels and mythic reliefs lies the footprint of the 16th century Lana sanctuary, a reminder that this radiant temple began as a simple place of worship, shaped by the hands and hopes of ordinary people. Today, when you stand before the Silver Temple, you're not just looking at a masterpiece of metalwork, you're standing on the very stones laid by King Muay Thai's builders more than 5 centuries ago. The silver may be new, but the soul of the temple is ancient. As you step closer to the ordination hall, the first thing that strikes you is the sheer density of detail, an entire world carved into metal. Every inch of the exterior is wrapped in hand-worked aluminum panels, each one shaped, hammered, and polished by the silversmiths of the Wolai community. What looks from a distance like a smooth silver surface becomes a tapestry of stories the moment you lean in. The aluminum itself carries a soft, luminous glow. Unlike polished silver, it doesn't flash, it shimmers, catching the light in gentle waves as the sun moves overhead. Before you even step inside, the main doors command your attention. Massive panels of hand-worked aluminum glowing with delicate layers of gold gilding. Up close, you can see how the artisans treated these doors not as simple entryways, but as sacred canvases. Every surface is alive with hammered textures, swirling motifs, and mythic figures that seem to rise from the metal itself. The main altar glows with a serene golden Buddha at its center, radiating warmth through the hall. Surrounding it, intricate silver panels rise like a shimmering backdrop, mythic figures, lotus motifs, and swirling patterns all hand-hammered by local artisans. The cool silver frames the Buddha's golden light, creating a striking balance of devotion and craftsmanship in the heart of the temple. The smaller statues surrounding the main Buddha statue add a quiet, human touch to the scene. One is draped in bright orange cloth, the same color worn by the monks who care for this temple. The fabric catches the light softly, giving this figure a sense of warmth and presence, and the orange robe transforms it from a simple sculpture into a symbol of devotion, echoing the living tradition that still thrives here. The windows here aren't just architectural features, they're framed by deep recesses that act almost like miniature galleries. Instead of open views to the outside, each recess houses carefully arranged artifacts in glass containers, turning the walls into a series of quiet shrines. Some hold offerings, others display symbolic objects tied to local belief and temple history. The windows along the ordination hall aren't open in the way you might expect. Instead of wide openings, you see narrow, recessed frames supported by sturdy vertical pillars, a hallmark of traditional Lana architecture. The floor of the hall is a masterpiece in its own right, a vast metal canvas etched with symbols that map out both the heavens and the earth. Astrological diagrams stretch across the panels, zodiac signs, celestial wheels, and cosmic patterns that reflect ancient beliefs about the forces shaping human destiny. Interwoven with these are geographical motifs, outlines of continents, sacred mountains, and mythic realms from Buddhist cosmology. Each symbol is carefully hammered into the metal, creating a textured surface that glints softly as you walk. Stepping out of the ordination hall, the temple greets us with a dazzling view of its silver exterior catching the light like a polished jewel. To the right, a serene silver Buddha sits in quiet reflection. To the left, a radiant golden Buddha offers a warm counterbalance. Just beyond them stand two imposing yaksha guardians, their presence a reminder that this sacred ground has long been watched over and protected. Here's a close look at the Bodhi tree's delicate heart-shaped leaves. Circling around the outside of the temple, the decorations take an unexpected turn. Instead of ancient motifs, the panels here showcase modern scenes, international cities, iconic skylines, and famous landmarks rendered in gleaming metal. It's a reminder that this temple, though rooted in tradition, is a relatively recent creation, blending contemporary imagination with centuries-old craftsmanship. The famous Ordination Hall was recently reconstructed between 2004 and 2016. The rear of the building reveals some of the temple's most evocative artwork. Here, the metal panels shift from modern scenes to timeless stories from the Buddha's past. You can see him seated beneath stylized trees, teaching his disciples with calm authority, their figures gathered in attentive circles around him. Other panels show key moments from his early life and spiritual journey, each scene hammered into the metal with remarkable care. In a small building opposite the hall, two priests sat waiting with warm smiles, welcoming us in for blessings and tying a red sai sin around our wrists. Thorben settles himself before the monk as he prepares to receive the sacred sai sin, the blessed white or red thread believed in Thai Buddhist tradition to carry protection, merit, and the compassionate energy of the chanting. Then it was my turn. The monk looked genuinely delighted to share a moment with us, offering his blessings with a warm, unhurried grace. Even in this small shrine room, a beautifully gilded white Buddha sits at the center, quietly radiating elegance and calm. While walking outside, we came across a beautiful Thai woman dressed in traditional attire, posing for professional photographs with the silver temple shimmering behind her. I gave her a grateful wave, thanking her for letting me film, and she beamed as she waved back with cheerful enthusiasm. She looked beautiful in her traditional dress. Away from the gleaming silver temple, another temple building stands quietly within the grounds, a reminder that Wat Sri Suphan is more than its famous metallic masterpiece. This structure carries the warmth of traditional Lana architecture, carved wooden pillars, sloping multi-tiered roofs, and gold-gilded trim that catches the sunlight in softer, earthier tones. Here too, you see the famous Nagas leading you up the stairs to the entrance. As we stepped into the main hall, it seemed as though the space had been arranged for a special ceremony. We couldn't be certain, though. The lone monk inside was quietly absorbed in his duties. At the far end of the hall stood a traditional shrine, adorned with multiple Buddha statues, each one crafted in a different size, pose, and material, creating a layered tapestry of devotion. There was also a striking statue of the Buddha, seated upon the coiled body of a seven-headed Naga, a powerful and familiar motif in Thai temples, symbolizing divine protection and the ancient tale of Mukalinda sheltering the Buddha from the storm. Even in this hall, metal panels lined the walls, each one illustrating scenes from history and Buddhist tradition. High along the walls, vibrant murals portrayed sacred landmarks from around the region, one resembling Angkor Wat, while others depicted familiar temple spires, pagodas, and chetties. And then came a sight I'd never encountered before, a monk with a tattoo. Phra Muang Khao, a revered Lana ruler of the 16th century, is remembered as the founder of Wat Sri Suphan. His patronage helped shape the spiritual landscape of Chiang Mai. Behind the Silver Temple, the brick ruins mark the foundations of the original stupa of Wat Sri Suphan. It offered a rare glimpse into the hidden world inside historical stupas, revealing the dense core of thousands upon thousands of tightly packed bricks that give these ancient structures their immense weight and enduring strength. Brick stupas were typically covered with a stucco made of lime, sand, and sometimes clay. To strengthen the stucco, builders often mixed in sticky rice paste, palm sugar, or tree resins. These acted like ancient glues, helping the stucco adhere to the brick. Walking along one of Chiang Mai's quiet canals, you start to feel the rhythm of everyday life unfolding around you. Wooden homes lie adjacent the water, their balconies draped with laundry and potted plants, each one carrying the stories of the families who've lived here for generations. Small restaurants and family-run shops open right onto the walkway, their kitchens sending out the warm scent of frying garlic and simmering broth as locals stop in for a quick meal. Along the water's edge, local residents have crafted their own weirs and fishing platforms, shaping the canal into a place of daily livelihood. Children play along the edge of the canal, chasing each other across narrow footbridges and laughing as they splash water with bamboo sticks. Scooters hum past, dogs nap in the shade, and elders sit outside their homes, watching the world drift by with the calm ease of people who know this place by heart. The canal isn't just a waterway, it's a living neighborhood, a thread that ties together work, family, and community. As you walk, you're not just passing through a scenic corner of Chiang Mai, you're stepping into the daily life of a city that still holds on to its slower, more intimate traditions. Here and there, residents have planted vibrant exotic flowers along the canal, each one flourishing in the moisture carried by the flowing water. Leaving the calm and serenity of the canal behind, we're swept once again into the lively and noisy rush of Chiang Mai. Scooters buzzing and honking, vendors calling out, and the city pulsing with movement. As night settled over Chiang Mai, we made our way back to the Silver Temple, drawn in by the way its shimmering surface seems to glow even brighter after sunset. The moment we arrived, the quiet street had transformed into a small stage. A group of performers welcomed us with a burst of energy, some demonstrating sharp, rhythmic Muay Thai movements, others flowing into graceful, traditional Thai dances. The mix of strength and elegance created this electric atmosphere, as if the temple itself had come alive to greet us. A small circle had formed around the group as they performed their Muay Thai movements, their bodies moving with a precision that felt almost ceremonial. The moment the performers stepped into position, the heartbeat of Muay Thai rose from the drums. Deep, rolling rhythms echoed through the night, steady at first, like a pulse awakening the space. This is the sarama, the traditional music that guides every movement in Muay Thai. Additional dancers soon stepped into the circle, moving with a quiet elegance as they demonstrated their ceremonial steps. Their gestures were deliberate and symbolic, each motion carrying the weight of tradition and the grace of generations who came before them. Then the energy shifted again as a fire-breathing performer stepped forward, turning the quiet courtyard into a stage of pure adrenaline. With a deep breath and a mouthful of fuel, he unleashed roaring bursts of flame that lit up the night sky, each fireball exploding outward like a miniature sun. The crowd gasped, The temple walls glowed, and for a moment it felt as if the entire night had caught fire. As the last of the street performers took their bows and the crowd's applause faded, our focus drifted back to the silver temple itself. Floodlights washed over its shimmering surface, shifting through a spectrum of colors that transformed the entire structure. Every few seconds, the temple seemed to reinvent itself, glowing sapphire, then emerald, then a warm red hue, each new shade revealing different details in the intricate silverwork. It felt like watching the temple breathe in light, changing its character with every pulse of color. The temple was closed for ongoing religious ceremonies, so Thorben and I were especially grateful that we'd explored the main hall earlier in the day.